Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of our/malicious compliance. Told to do what I have to do. I am a disabled veteran, and at the time this actually happened I was solely depending on walking stick. I could not walk more than 10 feet maximum without assistance. I was asked by a friend to be a bridesmaid at her wedding. She quickly proved herself to be a bridezilla from hell, and everything had to meet her vision. Everything had to fall within her very rigid scope of what the aesthetics should be. She made a couple of what she claimed were innocent comments about my walking stick. I offered multiple times not to be a bridesmaid and would assist in any other way I could help. She refused every offer and insisted I had to be a bridesmaid. Then I heard from another close friend, and also a bridesmaid, that she was very upset that I was insisting on using my walking stick. She made a comment saying that she was just going to hide it and then I would just have to go without it. Looking at the mutual friend's face when she said that she tried to laugh it off as a joke. Well, there was no doubt in my mind that she was going to try to have my walking stick go missing, so I made arrangements. Sure enough, they have the wedding rolls around and while getting hair and makeup my walking stick disappears. I was not happy, and told everyone I have to have it back. I cannot walk down the aisle without it. The bride insisted that they didn't know where it was and they looked everywhere and I was just going to have to make do. I said, so after you joked about taking my walking stick it goes missing, and you want me to make do? Her exact words were, you'll just have to do what you can do to get up the aisle. Cue malicious compliance. I texted my boyfriend, he went out to the car and brought in mobility scooter that I had rented just in case I needed it. I had him put it out of sight but where we could get to it easily, and then he or the other bridesmaids physically supported me. We made our way to the back of the hall for the start of the ceremony. The bride, who had been talking to her father and not paying attention, did not see the scooter until she started to walk up the aisle, and there are her 3 bridesmaids. 2 standing tall and me sitting on the most hideous looking multicolored with sparkles mobility scooter I could find. If looks could kill, she would have planted me. Within seconds of the ceremony ending, my walking stick had been found. She and her new husband brought it over to me and told me it had been found and I could get that god-awful scooter back out to the car. I mustered up a tear and told her I was so sorry, but I was in so much pain from having to try to walk without my walking stick that there was no way I would be able to go without the scooter. I am very proud to say that the scooter is in over 90% of her wedding photos. Next story. Want me to quit arguing with your orders cause you know better? Fine. So I work in a print shop and my boss is a huge control freak and also a know-it-all. She got tired of me questioning her orders one day and told me I was no longer allowed to question what she tells me, and to just shut up and do what I'm told. A couple hours later comes an invitation from the non-profit group that she's a member of. And in the customer's email, the location of the event was spelled correctly. But she thought it was wrong, and rather than Googling it, she just made me change it to what she thought it was supposed to be. So with having been told to shut up and do what was told, I did. And we printed 150 invitations with the wrong event venue name on them and delivered them to the organization. The organization that she was a part of. Next day they call upset because they sent me the correct information and got cards with the wrong info. Boss lady asked me what happened and I simply said, you told me change it, so I didn't question it and did what you told me. And the funny thing is she was donating the job, so now it cost her twice as much. Next story. Ex won't follow divorce rule that she wrote. Ex, 38 female, who is my kid's mom, really wanted right of first refusal in divorce agreement so she could get extra time with kids if I, 39 male, couldn't watch them. Which is reasonable. But she also wanted it specified that only grandparents and aunts and uncles could watch the kids if she passed on the right of first refusal. She wouldn't admit it, but my lawyer suspected the reason she wanted to only allow those specific people was to exclude any romantic partner of mine from babysitting ever. The kids' parents would always get first dibs, though, so there was no good reason for that bit of it, and honestly a long-term partner is probably going to be better for the kids as a babysitter than my family, who is hours away and some of them aren't the most trustworthy. I agreed to it in the final agreement under the condition that I get a makeup date anytime she uses the right of first refusal, to avoid giving her the incentive to just say no to every date swap. So fast forward to this weekend and I ask if she wants the kids under right of first refusal and she says yes, but that she won't give me a makeup overnight. Because the right of first refusal requires a makeup, I tell her that this counts as rejecting her right of first refusal. She gets mad and says I should give her the kids anyway. So I say I need to follow the exact wording of the divorce agreement, and it says only grandparents and aunts and uncles can watch the kids. She didn't put parents in there, so I'm not even legally allowed to let her watch the kids if she's not going to follow the right of first refusal agreement. Oh, that felt sweet to use that stupid rule she created against her attempt to break the agreement. She was mad, but she finally agreed to a makeup overnight in the end, which is the way it should have been in the first place. Next story. Food allergy charity doesn't want to pay their bills? Enjoy a nutty party. I work in a food catering place which can fulfill allergy-free requests. We have the expertise and care not to include allergic food, either as a hidden ingredient or by accidentally sharing contaminated utensils and pans while cooking. In our experience, the four most common allergies are peanuts, tree nuts, eggs, and milk. Cooking meals without these four ingredients will usually satisfy everyone at an event. We had a new client, a food allergy advocacy group. They ordered a large catering last month and didn't pay us since. We were out of pocket $2,000 and were considering legal action. This charity had the nerve to place another order with us, but this time a smaller one costing $450. The group asked for the meals to be nut-free vegan instead of nut/egg/milk free, as this would ensure them a peanut, tree nut, egg, and milk-free event for cheaper, as they would avoid our additional allergy-free preparation fees. This was reckless behavior from the advocacy group, as the party attendees were most likely anaphylactic to milk and egg. Think deadly peanut allergies, but for dairy, milk, cheese, cream, and egg products instead. Had we not known they were a food allergy charity, then we would have not taken as much care in ensuring the meals were egg/dairy free and would have just focused on the nut-free angle instead. There was one important thing the charity forgot. It's now possible to buy dairy which is made from lab-grown milk from yeast. The protein is identical to milk but is technically vegan. We cooked all the meals with this lab-grown dairy and loaded it in the van. Upon arriving to the function hall, we informed the charity organizers that the meals had lab-grown dairy in them. The charity owner started blasting off on how it was meant to be dairy-free and how they have people deathly allergic to milk in the event. I simply explained that the order was nut-free vegan since we used lab-grown milk, and that they had failed to pay us the last order, and that this was simply going to be our team Christmas party if they didn't accept the order. The owner went ballistic and began pushing me. The rest of us restrained him, and the function hall called the police. The owner lied and told the police that we had dropped and assaulted him. The police asked the function hall for the CCTV and then moved us both alone. The police did inform us at the commotion that we could head down to the station tonight and provide a witness statement should we wish to press charges. A few moments later, the owner called and begged for an apology and offered to pay us both the original and today's invoices right there and then. I decided to take the apology and the cash. Our team had a nice pre-Christmas party with the vegan lab-grown dairy meals. Next story. No scheduled raise? I'll only do entry-level duties. I, 19 female, work part-time at a restaurant. I was brought on when I was 16 as a hostess and got to wait tables and bartend at 18. I really love it. I've made friends with many of my colleagues, it's close to school, and my boss is really flexible. I was scheduled to get a raise last week. I don't make a waitress wage and I don't receive those tips, but the minimum wage in my state got raised and my boss said that I don't need a raise anymore because of it. I'm one of the oldest employees, I'm trained in every post, and I do what I'm asked because I respect my higher-ups and I'm in a good mood when I'm at work. So now that I'm barely making more than new hire hostesses, I'm only doing hostess duties. I've had way more time to study when it's slow and I come home with more energy to socialize and get things done. It's been great. It took a while for my boss to notice the difference my lack of presence made, and when he confronted me I told him what I said above and that there wasn't anything he could do about it unless I got my scheduled raise. I know there's no negotiating being paid a waitress wage, but maybe now I'll get my raise since it's costing him to fill what were my positions. Next story. We need that in letter form. My company gets a payoff request from a title company. One of our clients has a $1,500 lien on a piece of property. The owner of the property, who also owes the $1,500, is trying to sell. So the title company emails me asking for the payoff amount and other info. I respond to the email answering all their questions. I get an email back saying they need that information in letter form. I ask if they are serious. They say yes. They also say they need it immediately because closing is scheduled Monday. This is a Friday. So I print the email chain and write a letter that says, "Enclosed, please find email chain with the information requested." I dutifully put it in a properly addressed envelope and toss it in outgoing mail. Sadly, that was after mail cut off, so it was not going out until Monday. Monday, I get an email from the title company where their payoff info is. I explain the above. They ask if I can email it to them. Nope, I did that already. Not my fault if that was not good enough for you. Guess you won't close for another 5 days or so. Then a call from the guy's attorney asking me where the payoff is. I explain the above to him and remind him he was copied on the emails in question. He called the title company and blew them out of the water. We got our $1,500 the day by personal courier. It was a 2 hours one-way drive for the courier. Next story. Karen doesn't want to follow enrollment procedure. Some many years ago, I worked customer service for a company that managed a Medicare Part D drug plans. And the annual enrollment period rolled around. And during that time, it got chaotic. On top of the usual caring for customers, answering their questions, fixing problems, we had to enroll people into our plans. And it was a bit of a process. There were questions that needed to be asked and answered, information that had to be imparted, and at the end of it all, a long spiel explaining our responsibilities and the customer's responsibilities and important information the customer had to verbally consent to. So in the midst of this, I get a woman who is angry she has to do this, and is angry at how much time the whole process is taking. I explain to her I am trying to get her through this all as quickly as possible. Then we get to the end, and I explain that I have to read her the terms of service and I need her to verbally confirm yes to it all. Immediately she starts carrying on how she just doesn't have the time to listen to it. I tell her I am legally required to read this to her. She doesn't want to hear it, just sign her up. I explain again that to complete the sign-up process I have to read this to her and she needs to acknowledge it. Another round of she doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to agree to it, I can just skip it and sign her up. No, I can't. I can read through it quickly, however she still needs to hear it and say yes. More arguing she doesn't want to, let's just say she agrees to it, and I can sign her up. By this time I'm thinking, lady, if you had just let me read this, instead of arguing with me, we could have been done by now, which I couldn't say. Instead, I inform her that I have to read this agreement to her and she needs to verbally agree to it. If she doesn't, I will not be able to sign her up for Medicare Part D, she will not have a Part D plan, she will not be able to enroll in a plan until the next year's enrollment period, and she will have to pay a fine for not having a plan this year. She ignores all that, tells me to sign her up, and hangs up. Of course, I don't sign her up. And I write down the whole incident in the call log, that I explained several times that I needed to go over the agreement and get her consent, the penalties to her if she didn't, that she refused, and that I did not sign her up. Several weeks after the new year, a coworker sitting near me gets a call from a woman who was furious that when she went to get a prescription filled, the pharmacy wasn't able to run the insurance on it, and when they checked that she didn't have a Part D drug plan. The coworker asked for the woman's name, which was the woman who I didn't sign up. My coworker checked and said the caller did not have a plan with us. Worse for the caller, we could not enroll her since she had missed the enrollment period. Imagine how much easier things would have gone for everyone if that woman had just let me do my job and read the service agreement and she just said yes to it. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.